hear you. It's showing.
Okay, that's great. So can I just go and get my coffee? Is that okay?
I really don't need internet connection.
What?
How's yours?
Mine's fine. I'm going to put my earphones on so that when my husband comes back in and starts making a hideous amount of noise unpacking the shopping, we won't all have to listen to that. But can I just go and get my coffee, please? 1 minute. Oh, I'm talking to myself. I'm still going to go and get my coffee.
Well,
I can hear you now.
I've got a choice of 2 connections in my house, and they both suck.
Oh, okay.
And we have like 2 internet providers who are both awful.
Okay, so you're going to hate me, but I brought my cup and I brought my coffee because this is like a Japanese tea ceremony, okay? Because I wanted everybody to see. Can you see that? But I forgot to put the water. I forgot to put the water in the cup, so I'm back in.
So everyone has to witness your coffee ritual.
Yes, they did. That's why I thought I would wait, and I've been gasping for about the last half hour. So I have the cup. People, this is the crappiest, worst coffee ever. I have the cup. I'm just going to fill it with boiling water, and then I am totally all yours. 1 second.
Wait. Okay, so Wendy carries her crappy coffee around with her in a dispenser that is that's made for baby formula powder. And when I discovered this, I go, right, I'm going to go onto Amazon. I'm going to surprise Wendy and buy her a special dispenser for her coffee.
Oh, have you done that?
And I couldn't find anything.
No, well, I know why. Okay, so this is why I walk around in this beautifully color coordinated, but nevertheless not very stylish baby thing that people carry around formula milking.
I was convinced I'm going to find something. I'm the queen of Googling. And
I agree.
And I'm not going to give up. And I couldn't find a thing.
I know. That's why it's looking like this. So what happens is I pour this really unattractive looking mixture into my cup of water, you see, and then I stir it, and then it's a kind of, I can't show you people this, but anyway, it's a very sort of weak looking, maybe I'll put a little bit more in, it's like really, really weak looking, disgusting stuff. Okay.
What is the actual stuff that you're drinking? Wait, what's it called?
Is actually the cheapest coffee one can possibly buy. So here that's Elite, and in London that's like Sainsbury's own. We swept it off the floor.
Like finely ground,
absolutely.
Like flour.
Yeah, absolutely. And then in England it's Coffee Mate, but not the light, not Coffee Mate Light, because that doesn't taste nice. You know, like it's not. They fool you into thinking it's the same but less fattening, but it's not. It's just horrible. So it's full fat Coffee Mate, and here it's called Compliment, I think, and it comes in a sort of little, here being Israel, whoever's watching around the world, a little blue box. And what's even worse, like as if this isn't bad enough, I then have to put this in a plastic bag and tie the top of the bag up, because once it emptied all over my handbag. And so freaking mess. And
I love the fact that you despaired with me for having a granny bag to schlep all my camera equipment.
Well, that was terrible. I mean, I agree, this is bad, but it's hidden in my beautifully stylish handbag. And you were walking down the road looking gorgeous and professional with a granny shopper. I mean,
I love it. I love it.
I'm sure. I'm going to buy you. I know, but you could get something stylish. You could get one of those, like, you know.
It's not mine. I don't put the granny bag on the plane to take it to London. I borrow from my mum.
It is a relief to hear that you don't. But you could what do you use here? What do you use in Israel?
Oh, so here I thought, right, I'll go out and buy one of those really classy PVC ones with the comic strip print on them. They were a fortune.
Sorry,
Yes, I bought
sorry.
a really plain boring.
Who told you that was classy? There's nothing classy. So you've got.
There was like a quite classy store that was selling them. Very classy boutique that was selling.
What on wheels? A
Mm.
little. Why don't you just use like a bit of carry-on luggage or something? Why don't you use your carry-on luggage? Empty your suitcase and use your carry-on luggage.
I don't want to walk around with a suitcase.
No, much better to walk around with a purple granny bag.
So she who drinks the worst coffee known to man.
But now you
anyway,
never know, right?
Also, you know what? We've launched straight into arguing without me even introducing you.
Also, I just have to say this, and then you can introduce me. My mother, my late mother, would be very cross that I am in public with a spoon in my cup. But
very uncouth. Very uncouth.
Very uncouth.
You need a side plate, a little plate to put it on, right?
Okay, now you can introduce me.
Well, actually, I will have you introduce yourself.
Oh, okay. So I'm a fashion stylist and I'm Wendy Lehmann. I'm a fashion stylist and personal shopper. And I've been doing that forever, actually, when I think about it now. More than 30 years I've been doing this in some form or another. As people know, I started semi-grating to Israel about 15 years ago. I only admit to being here for about 6 months because my Hebrew is really straight off the boat. So if you say to people, I've been here 15 years, they think you're joking.
They switch languages.
Well, they think you're joking. They think, because of course you would, wouldn't you? You'd think 15 years, surely she's mastered something by now. She looks like a perfectly normal, sensible person. She'd have learned something. And when they realize I haven't, they say things like, well, have you tried Ulpan? As if that hadn't occurred to me. Because of course,
I didn't think of learning Hebrew.
Oh, yeah, how silly of me. There was me just thinking if I sat around, it would come in like osmosis. So yes, I have tried Ulpan. In fact, whatever the plural of Ulpan is, I've tried it.
I don't even know how on earth you would translate Ulpan either. I guess it was just like crash course in learning Hebrew kind of thing. Very intensive lessons.
Yeah, so it was like 5 hours, 5 days a week for 5 months when I first came. Although I did miss, because I go back to England like for a week, 10 days a month. I did miss little chunks of it. But that isn't the reason I don't speak. I mean, I don't know. It just hasn't gone in. There's something wrong with my neural pathways. They're too clogged with lots of other things to make room for Hebrew. So I only admit to being here for 6 months. However, I have actually been coming and going for 15 years. And indeed, in the last 4 months, not going at all.
Right, yes.
You know, as you would say, Sarah, someone broke the world. Anyway, so that's me. And I also have done for many years home styling, and I don't promote that overly here, but I do it for private clients. So just by private commission, home styling. But the main focus is personal styling. Yeah.
How come you chose to focus on that and not to promote the home part of it so much?
So I love both aspects, but I'm passionate about the personal styling. I'm totally passionate about getting people dressed beautifully. And that doesn't mean that they have to be walking around. Indeed, that would be ridiculous if they were walking around in gowns and evening gloves all the time. But just, you know, we all waste so much money buying things that we don't wear, that we can't work out how to. We think they're going to look nice. They look great in the shops. We've seen them on other people and we really get excited and think, I really want to, you know, we covet that look and we go for that look. And then they sit in our wardrobes gathering dust, often still with the label on them, and they don't get worn. And so I'm really passionate about getting people to understand what that whole cycle is, because it is a cycle. I was reading, I don't know whether you know, anybody from England who's watching will probably know, the author Alan Bennett, the playwright Alan Bennett.
Of course, I love Alan Bennett.
Okay, so I really love Alan Bennett too, really love it. And he, there's a great story called The Clothes They Stood Up In, which is about people who get burgled. I mean, I won't, spoiler alert, I won't spoil it. But anyway, they get burgled. And in that, he says that it turns out he's discovered that people can do without almost all their stuff. What they can't do without is shopping for it. And that's true, actually. That is really true. There's something about the whole art of shopping that does something to people. I mean, I don't know, maybe you're not, but people who like shopping, there are people who don't like shopping. And so for this won't resonate. But people who like shopping, there's something about going into a shop, going into a mall, buying something that does something to the endorphins or whatever they are, that, it makes them happy. And that's wonderful, and I completely subscribe to that. But then the art is to buy something you're actually going to wear. And often,
what category would you put me in?
Well, I've never shopped with you, but I suspect you're not a shopper. I suspect you are not somebody who likes shopping.
My eldest daughter despairs with me because I glaze over. I have a 45-minute window, and after
Really?
I've been inside in that artificial lighting with the overwhelming noise and people for more than 45 minutes and choices and queues and everything, I shut down and I have no capacity to go on. That's why when I discovered online shopping, I've identified now that last summer I got rid of a whole load of essential items from my wardrobe, because I'll throw away t-shirts and that will cause me to have to go and buy new ones. If I don't throw them out, it's not going to happen.
Right.
So now I know exactly what I need. So I will kind of almost plan the campaign, right, we'll go in and we'll hit that shop, and then we're gone. I don't think it will ever be more than 2 stores at a time. It's very efficient.
Okay.
I don't enjoy that kind of schmying around.
Okay. So I mean, that's fine. Knowing the gaps in, going shopping, knowing the gaps in your wardrobe is really good. I mean, you're ahead of the pack in that, because most people have no idea what they actually need. And as a result, I mean, and I often say to clients, you wouldn't go to the supermarket not having checked what's in your fridge and in your larder, but you will go to the mall time and time. What, you will go to the supermarket without checking? No, most people...
I used to. In my 20s, I would just turn up at the supermarket and be like, what should we have today? Now I don't. I have a very efficient list. But you have to get used to that way of being,
Okay, so most people don't go to the supermarket and just wander around aimlessly putting any old thing in there. I mean, because otherwise they wouldn't have the right ingredients to make the meals. Most people know what they need when they go to the supermarket. But most people don't go shopping knowing what the gaps and the overlaps are in their wardrobe. So a wardrobe edit to start with is crucial, I would say, knowing what's in your... And also, almost everybody can shop for certain things more easily than others. So, if you find it easy to buy shoes, or if you find it easy to buy tops, you'll have a plethora of those, and none of the things that you find it more difficult to shop for, because it's just human nature to go for the thing that's easier. So you'll often end up with loads of tops, no trousers, or loads of trousers, no tops, all that kind of stuff. So knowing the gaps and overlaps to start with.
1 second, I have to interrupt you because this hasn't happened yet on a live stream. My son needs the car key. Not sure where I put it. Not that son, the 20-year-old. Okay. Either in my handbag or in the pot on the thing, or don't know, but it's here somewhere. Right. Yes. Okay. I find sometimes...
Come back if you can't find it.
I was sitting there going, go away, go away.
Why? It's real life. It's okay. It's nice.
So where were we?
Okay, so gaps really good that you go gaps and you go knowing gaps. What is less good maybe is that you probably go to the same shops all the time. Probably don't try new shops.
I know definitely people like my husband, definitely. He keeps going to the same places, and it's almost like when I shop for my 7-year-old, I shop for him. The joy of Children's Place coming to Israel is just amazing, because I know it's like Gap. You go in and he needs a pair of black shorts, a pair of grey shorts, a pair of beige shorts. I know exactly what he needs, and every year I'm just buying the size up. And I feel like that's how my husband shops as well. Not the size up, but something wears out or gets stained, he just goes and buys exactly the same thing again. Maybe that's a man thing, but I tend to try out new places. I tried out Mango. I'd never been to Mango before.
Okay.
And found that I quite liked their clothes and found some really interesting things there.
Nice, good.
So I feel like I'm a little bit more adventurous than he is, but maybe men aren't that adventurous with shopping.
Well, I think it's more usual for men to be less interested in clothes. I wouldn't say men are not interested, but I think it's more common that they're less interested than women. And also,
yeah, I'm just like, things are going to be plain colors, right? He's going to get a pair of trousers, going to be plain navy, whereas I've got a lot more choice.
Yeah, well, I was going to say that, I mean, historically, there's been so much less choice for men, hasn't there? But now, I think that's changing. I think that I think there's much more choice for men, and I mean, there's still nowhere near the range of styles and things that women get to choose from. But there's much more than there was, which is nice. And some shops are really, I mean, so, shops like COS and Zara and H&M slightly less, I think, are really, really pushing the boat out in terms of what they're offering to guys. Do you shop here or do you shop in England?
Well, shopping in England's been knocked on the head, kind of.
Okay. Well, let's assume this is a temporary hiatus.
Yeah, when shipping comes back, I'll often buy from Next. I know people buy from M&S. I don't know why I never really thought of it. But I tend to
do this online. You won't wait till you go to England and then shop.
I did last time I went to England. I really treated myself. I was like, get over that guilt that no one asked you to feel about buying stuff for yourself. And it's all part of, I think I wrote about it recently about what I did, which a lot of other women that I've spoken to have done as well. Is like, you lose yourself and no one asked you to do it, but you just do. You become a mother and put all your focus on, all the things that need to be done in the house and for the kids, and put yourself on the back burner. And like I said, no one asked me to do it. I just decided to be a martyr and not shop for myself. So I went round, actually not very trendy, but I went round M&S and I bought 2 skirts, a dress, t-shirt. Like, I bought tons of stuff for myself.
Okay.
Yeah, it was really nice. So I do, it's a bit of a mix. And I do buy here as well. Stores have got a lot better. I mean, we came here in 1997. It was a disaster.
Yeah.
I couldn't buy anything. If you bought something and it was no good and it shrunk the first time you wore it, tough luck. You shouldn't have put it in the washing machine. Whereas now,
customer service stuff is much better. I mean, even in the time that I've been here, taking stuff back and being able to exchange it and get your money back and all of that has really improved. That's definitely. I mean, I still don't think that shopping here is particularly pleasurable because, because there are all sorts of things like, the mirrors are not in the changing room, so you've got to come out the moment you come out.
Why do they do that? Why do they force you to come out?
Commission-based
I have to tell
sale.
you, you're right, the customer service has got so much better, but there's this mentality here, which I hear is quite a Mediterranean thing, I think, of not very much filter, that people tend to say what's on their mind. So this shop assistant, I had lost 15 kilos. I was feeling on top of the world. I went off to buy my first pair of jeans in God knows how long. And I knew that I was like a size, I think it's the European sizing. It's like a 40. It's like an American Eagle 10.
Okay.
I went into American Eagle and I told her that I was a 10. And she said, "Are you sure? That's huge." Thanks, darling. I'm just gonna go now. What not to say? I never forgot it. It was like 7 years ago, and I still haven't forgot it. Every time I walk in there, it makes me think of it.
Isn't that funny? Because was it you that posted that thing about? Was it that posted that thing about like somebody was put like a little video and they were getting all these compliments and putting them in a jar. I mean, they weren't. Yeah, was that you that posted that? And then they got one insult and they put that in the other jar. And then she
walks off. She knocks over the compliment jar and walks off with the insult.
And that's true. That you only remember the sort of the number of people that I'm sure have said to you, "Look amazing," blah blah blah. You don't remember any of that, and what you remember is the one person who said that.
That's huge. You're an elephant. How dare you come out into public? Put yourself away now. Yeah, that's what she meant.
Oh, shame.
Like, just give me the jeans and I'll go and I won't darken your doors again. I wanted to ask you how you felt about when Trini Susanna's program first came out. How did you feel about them?
Okay, so I loved the program in England when it first came out. I really enjoyed the program in England, and I thought it was, you know, it was novel and it was fun, and they were a bit rude and a little bit harsh, but on balance, I really enjoyed it. Is there a lot of background noise now? Can you hear a lot of background noise? Yeah.
You can hear someone making a phone call.
Yeah.
But haven't you got headphones in?
I have got headphones in, but I know I'll cover my ears. How's that? Is that better? It's just, or he's just sending a fax.
Oh, I see. Cover your ears. I'm with you. I was thinking that it was coming through the headphones.
I think I don't know how come it's
No, it's
not.
fine. I'm being thick. I understand what you're saying now. Carry on.
Anyway, okay. But when they did the Israeli one, I thought it was awful. I mean, just, you know, it changed focus completely. They I don't know. They didn't. Maybe this place doesn't lend itself to that kind of. Although there's enough reality TV, God knows. But I don't know. They picked.
It didn't work somehow. I don't know why.
It really didn't work. Yeah. It really didn't. And they made it more about kind of psychology or you know, like people with messed up lives. Just the whole thing. The whole thing looked like a freak show, and they didn't end up affecting any improvement at all as far as. So I was really disappointed.
Yeah, I think people here are quite stubborn. Like your average Joe who likes to go out with her butt bulging out of her trousers and her belly sagging over the top and her boobs out. She's just going to do that. She's not going to stop just because you've told her. They're quite adamant and set in their ways. I don't think your average Joe on the street is going to be very open to I don't think it's going to be received well. Although there was one girl I remember that was showing everything, and my daughter always remembers it. It's like, show your legs or show your boobs or show whatever, but not all at the same time.
Yeah.
Let's just have a little bit of clothing going on.
Okay, so I want to say something because I think it's a really interesting point. On all of those makeover shows, they deal with how the person looks. So the moment the camera stops rolling, those people are going to go back to dressing the way they dressed before, because actually when you dress yourself, most women wear 15% of their wardrobe 85% of the time, and the reason they do that is there's something in that 15% that feels right, and that the language that I use for that is your style personality. And that's a combination of your body geometry and a combination of the person that you are inside. And unless you're going to find the marriage between those two things when you're working with somebody as a stylist, they are simply going to go back to wearing what they wore before. The moment you're not there anymore. They have to understand what it is that works for them. So for many people, for very many people, that's a journey because we evolve as people. I mean, you just said, you know, you lose yourself, but we evolve. You're not the same person now that you were pre or, you know, before you had your family, before you were a mother. You know, you're a different version of yourself now, and you need to know how to dress that different version of yourself so that kernel is still true to the person you are inside, but it has adapted to embrace the evolved self. That's and you can't do that in a makeover show because it's, you know, you can't.
I think I used to enjoy watching the makeover show. As far as I remember, you would bring your clothes and they would put them all out on the rail, and they'll be like, no, which was ruthless, and you'd be cleaning up.
Yeah, and
silly. I mean, it's like any time that you ask for help, the first thing you do after you've taken the plunge and asked for the help is immediately go on the defensive. You know, I ask for help from a nutritionist, and then I start trying to act like I'm an angel. I've asked for help from a nutritionist to help me with what I'm eating, and then I'm trying to reel off my day of what I eat as if I'm being an angel. You've got to get real and say, I've asked. It's like watching not Kitchen Nightmares, the Gordon Ramsay show where he goes in to help. Yeah, I think it is called that actually. Okay. To help the failing restaurants. They do exactly the same thing. They push back and they just want to retreat to their old patterns. It's a completely natural psychological thing that we all do as human beings. Okay. But what I loved was sometimes they managed to get through to them and say, you keep wearing these skirts that look like this, but you have a body like this. This is the good part of your body. Accentuate, not good. but this is the non-problematic.
That's right. I mean, because it's all about proportion and balance. It's all about taking the eye to the good bits. Sorry, sweetie. You're on live. You're on live Facebook now, so everything you're doing is coming over on live. So thank you. Where were
yes, accentuating the good.
Yeah. So it's all about accentuating the good bits. It's all about not only. I don't want to call it compensating because it's not compensating, but it is about proportion and balance. So you're right, but people get very set in their ways. And the other thing is that it's about how they feel. So there's often something about the way you dress that makes you feel a certain way, and you want that feeling. That's you're jealous of that feeling. You want to retain it. It's something. It's not that you want to retain it, and so it's recognizing that and it's embracing that when you're dealing with somebody, rather than that. And you're right. I mean, in the same way as if a nutritionist came to you and said, "Well, that's ridiculous, and that's ridiculous, and that's ridiculous." I mean, having taken
it's the approach.
In a way, you need somebody to be strong, but you need them to come from a place where they're understanding who you are, because otherwise it'll work for a short time, but it won't change you fundamentally. And it's changing.
Well, I think the reason that in terms of that show, just talking about that show, it was a hit because it was just funny to watch them being so. I mean, they would grab hold of boobs and say, "Oh, you've got great boobs," and they're gonna and it was just the shock factor. In real life, if I was going to go to someone to consult with them about my wardrobe, I would absolutely not want them to do that to me. I would run for the hills and never come back.
But you're right. I mean, it made good television. It was novel. Nobody'd done that. Nobody'd done anything like that before. They were very telegenic. They themselves had, very different style personalities. So that spoke to a raft of women rather than just one woman who has a similar style personality. So it worked on many levels. Yeah, it worked on many levels. And she's still going, Trini. Susanna's not.
Yeah.
But Trini's still got a whole makeup thing now.
Oh, she's fabulous. Yeah. Her lips.
Her lips are. I mean, I think she's incredibly attractive and most of the time really good. Some of the stuff I don't entirely agree with, but most of the time I think she's spot on. She's got an absurd. I don't know if you've watched any of her YouTube videos. She's got an absurdly enormous wardrobe. Literally. Yeah. She's literally been able to make videos every day in lockdown from just her own wardrobe. She's got so many clothes. It's more than your average warehouse.
So what were you keeping busy with during lockdown?
So I was making some videos on how to edit your wardrobe, and I was working on my business, not in my business because that's
not in it, right?
Not in it, but on it. And there was a lot of Zooming. There's a lot of. I mean, I've got one son in New York and two sons in London, so nobody's here. So there was a lot of time catching up with them. I mean, I was lucky. It was just Ori and I, so it wasn't anywhere near the kind of pressure that you have if you've got children at home and homeschooling. I mean, I can't imagine how hard all of that was. And we have got some outside space, so we could go out. Like people who had children at home and no outside space and all of that kind of stuff. Incredibly difficult.
Yeah.
But yeah.
And did you notice that I picked a title in the end after our backwards and forwards? You were like, no, you pick a topic. No, you. The topic that I probably should have introduced about half an hour ago was what, where, and how people buy. I think we did discuss it somewhat, but what did you have in mind there?
Did I have anything in mind, given that you chose the topic?
You did right. Okay. It was a sentence that you wrote.
It was. Okay. So I think we have talked around it. It's in there somewhere if people want to, dig through the conversation. I think what people buy is often what they see in the shops rather than what suits them. So they're very influenced by what's in the shop window. They're very influenced by what they see sometimes on the runways if they're fashionistas and they want to follow. They're often very influenced by labels. And they're often very influenced by the boredom with the season that's just going out. So, sometimes. sometimes it's just the novelty factor. So I always say to clients, go shopping without your wallet. You know, get your eye in before you go and buy, because otherwise, almost certainly, you will end up buying stuff just because of the novelty factor, and it may not suit you. It may not be your style personality. So I think what people buy is hugely, and it does change depending on your age. So your daughter, how old are your daughters?
My eldest is 22 and my second one is 15.
Okay. So I think perhaps not so much the 22-year-old, but the 15-year-old, probably you're very influenced by your peers when you're that sort of age. You very much want to dress like everybody else, wear, not necessarily exactly what everybody else wears, but that whole sort of mean girls, plastic kind of being part of the tribe, being part of the group, that you don't have the confidence yet in your own style personality to look unique. So I think that's a big factor when you're in your upper teens, really. And then I think, most people enter a black period where they just buy everything in black. So that kind of sees you.
I seem to have bypassed that.
Good for you.
I missed my black period.
Okay.
Well, I did a bit of grey, like workout clothes. There's quite a lot of grey.
Okay.
Sorry, I didn't get changed for this.
Fine, everyone cheats on Zoom. I think a lot of young women end up wearing a lot of black. Black's slimming, so people like it for that reason, but it doesn't necessarily suit everybody, and it certainly isn't the best color for everybody. And as you get older, it's definitely not the best color for everybody. So you need to be aware of that, and information is power. I mean, I'm not outlawing black, but I'm saying know what it does to you, know how to wear it, know how to compensate for it with your makeup and all of that kind of stuff.
And I always found it was a real shame that evening dresses, I'd find a beautiful evening dress and it would be only in black.
Yeah.
Well, how about giving me some other choices?
Do you know what your best colors are?
Oh, I had someone tell me once. I think the colors that I tend to wear are pinks, very specific shades like pinks, yellows. I'm trying to think what my clothes are in my wardrobe. Different shades of blue. I didn't wear blue for years.
Right.
And all of a sudden I discovered navy blue.
Okay.
What would you say? I don't know.
Oh, I don't know. I do color analysis. And
I'm trying to remember all my colors, and now I'm like blanking.
Yeah. And it's a whole process. Like you're in front of the mirror and you have all the different drapes and you find out whether you're blue based or yellow based, and then whether you're clear and bright or warm and muted. And it is a whole thing. But
I think a lot of mine have got patterns. I've got like flowers or geometric. A lot of my dresses. But
all of these things are a clue to your style personality. So if for example you tend to go for patterns, and you tend to go for patterns with flowers in, it says something about the kind of that there's a certain amount of romantic in your style personality. Whereas there isn't any romantic in me of any sort, and I would never go for anything for me with flowers. But so, all of these things are part of your style personality. And when something is perfect for you, it's because it speaks to that thing that's inside you, and it speaks to your body geometry. So it speaks to whether you're made up of soft lines or harsher lines, whether you've got straight shoulders or slightly sloping shoulders, all of those things. And I think it's so interesting, because you wouldn't go out and buy a cushion for your sofa without checking first to see whether it was round or square or rectangular or oblong or anything. But people will spend a lifetime buying clothes without ever looking to see whether they have a soft neck or a very a very strong jawline. None of those things, or even if they know those things about them, they won't realize how important it is that the
well, that's what I was going to say. We don't realize. That's why I asked you about the Trini and Susanna show, what not to wear. That's what it was called, because I specifically remember it was a turning point in my shopping, because all these things had never occurred to me, never. your neck, your shoulders, your waist, all of these things. I'd never taken any of it into account. I was just buying a skirt because it was in Topshop.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
There you go. I mean, you know, if we just look at necklines, for example, if you've got a very soft shaped face. So if I was going to make a mold from your face, would I chisel it out of rock or would I mold it out of clay? Well, in your case, I would definitely mold it out of clay. So that's there's a very yin element to your face. So I want to reflect that in the necklines that you wear. I don't want to put you in a shirt with pointed collars, pointed lapels, because that would just be fighting the softness that's above. And most people don't even think about
breaking it's like a feng shui thing, right? The flow.
That's the collar of the shirt. I mean, you know, that's it. That's we're not like, we haven't even started.
But that's interesting because I think subconsciously we're like, doesn't look good. I mean, you don't know what you do, but very often you'll put something on, you'll be like, no, but you can't put your finger on why it is. And this is what I was teaching people about photography. When you've taken a picture and you love it, but you're not sure why. It's the same thing.
It is exactly the same
like
thing.
How pleasing it is to your eye.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah. And that goes for every single element of what you wear. Everything, the jewelry, the you know, the shape of your garments, how you put things together, the type of pattern, everything should speak to the person you are, to your style personality. And that's when it's perfect. And that's when you have a wardrobe full of clothes that really work for you. And you don't need masses of clothes, because if everything works, it works together. You know, you can have 100 outfits out of 10 pieces of clothing. If you've got a whole bunch of stuff that doesn't quite work, you need 200 articles of clothing to create 100 looks. So yeah. So when shall I come over?
Well, it's funny. I think next week I've got someone coming over. We were booked like BC to have. She was going to come over for 4 or 5 hours and go through my closet and just like get rid of all the stuff that I don't wear.
Okay.
So after that, you can come.
Okay, but you need to know why you don't wear it. You need to know why you don't wear it. I think so.
Why?
Because there might be a way that you can wear it. If you know, there might be a way that you can wear it.
So the things that I'm getting rid of are mostly because either I don't know whose body I was buying it for, but it wasn't mine.
Okay.
Or I'm so sick of seeing it, I can't look at it anymore.
Okay.
Or it's got stained.
Oh yeah.
You know?
I mean, please get rid of it if it's got stained. I don't subscribe to the Monica Lewinsky style of wardrobe management. It's really.
I feel like it's weird. You put stuff away for the winter and summer comes and I'm like, where did that stain come from? I swear winter just grows stuff. Yeah, so I need a very, very big clear out and then we can talk. That would be cool.
Yeah, that would be cool. Absolutely. And as to where and how people buy, the internet's obviously changed things phenomenally for people, and that whole thing about they can't do without shopping, they can do without the clothes, they can't actually do without shopping. Lots and lots of people, and I'm guilty of this myself sometimes, will put a whole load of stuff in the cart and then just not check out because the joy has been in choosing these things and imagining.
I didn't know other people did that.
Yeah, and actually I'm not going to buy them.
That.
Yeah. So that's a whole psychological thing in itself. I think that, you know, this satisfaction you get from putting together in your head these wonderful outfits that actually you never have any intention of buying. And it isn't just about the money. It isn't that one doesn't necessarily want to spend the money. It's just it's almost like an activity on its own. This whole putting it in the cart and
so funny. I do it on Bowden.
Yeah, I do it on ASOS.
It is about the money.
I do. Oh, okay. I do it on ASOS. So the way people shop now, and definitely as a result of Corona, has changed. But it was changing even before that. And obviously in my lifetime, I've seen the complete demise of the high street in favor of malls. And I wonder now whether one of the things we'll see is the return of
the other way.
Yeah. So it's interesting.
Long live the high street. I've always been such a fan of high street shopping, and I know that I am one of those people who has sensory issues. I was sitting in a room of 12 women the other day, and I'm the only one who can't concentrate on a word anyone's saying because there's a light bulb flickering over there. And in the end, I'm like, wait, can we just stop and switch that light off because I can't concentrate?
Yeah.
So, you know, you walk into a mall and it's all like that, and the lighting, the bloody noise from this awful music. That's why I actually like American Eagle. Yeah. Because the music isn't too loud.
Okay. I mean, and there's, you know, there's a whole
psychology
about the music. You have to have the music.
Feel in the super,
it's true.
And Castro
has a very specific smell. You know, Castro has a very specific.
I hate the smell in. It's further on from Castro in.
Renoir?
Yes, it stinks of something sweet.
Yeah,
so, I know they're trying to draw you in, but it stinks.
Yeah, they have this. They use, you know, unique smells to get people to recognize the store and have a sort of affinity with the store and all of that.
It's failing.
Failing with you, yeah.
You walk around a shopping center and you forget what day I forget what day it is and what time it is because, you know, it's deliberate.
But people like that. I mean, people love that. They love the fact that these are and they're temples to consumerism. I mean, if you stop and think about what's going on here, it's yeah. Well, I mean, not that I'm against consumerism because, you know, it makes the world go round, doesn't it? So I'm not saying it's a terrible thing. But what I do think is a terrible shame is when people waste an awful lot of money, buy a load of stuff and then don't wear it. That seems to me a terrible waste, and I'm quite happy to help people stop doing that.
So that's interesting. So you're there to stop people wasting money.
Yeah, and people will often say, you know, they'll often say things like, oh well, you know, I don't shop. I only shop in, I don't know, mid-market. So don't take me down Marylebone High Street because I can't afford any of those stores, whatever. But they'll spend 10 times the amount of money in, I don't know, Zara or Topshop than they would buying one right thing in M&M. I mean, you know, like and that's mad. That's mad. It's, you know, it's about, so I'm always saying to my clients, have a budget, know what that budget is, and then buy wisely, spend wisely, buy something that you're going to get a lot of wear out of. Price per wear. If you buy 10 things from Topshop and wear each of them once, that is a phenomenal waste of money. If you buy something from, I don't know, Agnes B, and wear it 100 times.
Yeah. That's how I fell in love with Boden, because they know how to make clothes for actual real bodies in real life. I found that things just last for years. I bought a dress there once and I'm like, okay, I absolutely love this fit. And every season they would bring out, it's different, but it's a variation on a theme. So I knew that I could order it online and it was going to fit me.
Yeah, nice.
And I don't know how long ago that was, but it's still in my wardrobe.
Wow. Well, you see, I mean, that's
shout out to Boden.
Yeah, and that's fantastic, isn't it? What a great investment piece. What a great investment piece.
But it's flowers. You wouldn't wear it.
Oh, no, not for me. But it wouldn't be right for me. But if it's right for you, then, you know. And I think that's really interesting. I think, you know, I think that whole soft. Yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot to be gleaned from the little snippets that you're giving away about your wardrobe. A lot of your personality to be guessed at.
Well, who knew? So I had these questions that I've been asking towards the end of my interviews, my coffee chat things, and I'm like trying to find them now. So I can't actually find them. I should have had it ready before, so I'm going to have to pull one out of my head. Let's see. If you could send a message to yourself 20 years ago, what would you tell the younger you?
Start learning Hebrew.
Would you have listened?
No, of course not. I don't even listen to myself from yesterday, from one day to the next. Of course, I wouldn't have listened to myself. But that's probably what I would have said. Yeah.
Oh, funny.
I
All right.
was sent to Hebrew classes as a child, and I used to just
It's
hide
not the
the
same.
toilet. Well, I used to hide. I didn't go. You know, this is the and now this
No,
is
we
the
have rubbish education. Yeah.
well, I just hid in the toilet till the lesson started, and then went to the park. And payback time, right?
Oh well,
So,
I'm sure you get by.
Everyone speaks English.
Next question is, what do you want people to remember about you?
A difficult one, isn't it? Wow. Okay.
How to put Wendy on the spot?
Yeah. Okay. What do I want people to remember about me?
Not your coffee pot. You're not remembering.
Yes, they can definitely remember that. But I guess I want them to. I mean, they always say, don't they, that what people remember is the way you made them feel. So I guess
Is that what they say?
Yeah. So it's not, people don't remember that, you don't remember the woman in America.
Remember the words. Remember how they
made you feel.
How she made you feel. Yeah.
Yeah. And so I guess I want people to. I hope that people feel uplifted at the end of their experience with me. I'm like that I'm a radiator, not a drain. That there's positive.
I like that.
Yeah, that I have positive energy. Not. I hope that's what people. I hope that's how I leave. Be a radiator,
not a drain. Love that.
Be a radiator.
I call a lot of things draining in life. That's really good.
A lot of things steal that. And know the people in your life are that when you're not at your strongest, you just don't really want to be necessarily in their company, because there's something about the energy that's not good.
Absolutely.
So
where can we find you, Wendy, if we want to go and become a raving fan of Wendy on social media?
So I have a Facebook page and I have a website, and all you need to do to get to those is type in my name into Google or whatever. But it's Wendy Lehmann, as in Lehmann. I don't know who you'll find if you only put one in. She might be good.
Let's see.
But it's double N at the end. You never know. But it's double N at the end. Yeah.
Okay. Wonderful. I'm so happy we did this, but we need a real life one.
Okay, that's a date to be made. Okay.
And thank you for the guest appearances, everybody. Bye.
Bye.